Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Michael Show. I'm Michael Tran, and today we'll be talking about the midterm 2026. And for non-English speakers in my audience, you can check for your subtitles on this video by clicking the gear icon at the bottom right of your video, and then it's gonna show up the subtitles. Then you can choose the preferred language of yours to see the subtitles. Thank you very much. And for the midterm, back to the midterm 2026, for Virginians, we defeated the Democrats' illegal and unconstitutional redistricting effort. And we have the momentum. We got to take the momentum and get the job done, especially for the U.S. Senate race. If you are so tired of Senator Mark Warner, who is running for the fourth term, we got to pick a competent candidate who can get the support from across the state and who has not only the qualification but also the passion and a strategy to send him a retirement package. And today I am so honored to introduce to you the candidate that I believe they can do it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show Gerald Bert Mizusawa, the Republican candidate for United States Senate. Gerald, thank you and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michael. It's a real honor to be here with you.
Thank you, Gerald. And Gerald, for first questions, where people are very curious about your background because your background is so rich, and you are so well qualified. So, can you tell us a little bit briefly about your background, your experience, and your service, sir?
Yes, Michael. Well, thanks for the question. Well, just like anybody else, we're all a product of our parents and our environment. Mine was a little bit unusual because my parents came from two parts of the globe. My father was from Hawaii. His parents immigrated to the United States, the territory of Hawaii at the time, around 1905. My mother was the immigrant of the family. Even though my father's parents could not become U.S. citizens, since he was born in Hawaii, he was automatically a U.S. citizen. I had his brother, immediately older brother, was killed in the Korean War, fighting with the 2nd Infantry Division for the freedom of South Korea. But he was unfortunately, tragically killed in a key battle of the war. So they would not send my father to Korea to suffer the same fate. So they sent my father to the other place where they had a lot of U.S. servicemen and women, and that was the European occupation. And my mother, who was from Amsterdam, my parents met there, and they were the only ones who married outside of their community, outside of their culture. And I was raised in an Air Force family, and my parents had, I was one of 6 sons that they had moving all over the world, including to Asia and to Europe. And so that was my upbringing. A little bit of Dutch, a little bit of Hawaiian. The food was always interesting. And when it came time for me to go to college, no one in my family had ever been to college before. And I never really had a hometown. So I had to make a decision on where I could go, what we could afford. You know, my family was poor. My dad was a sergeant with six children. And I was fortunate enough to be considered for acceptance by the military academy at West Point. And I did choose to go there, and I did very well. I worked hard, I had some God-given talents, but I took advantage of them, worked hard. I graduated first in my class out of over 1,400 cadets that went in. So that got me off to a pretty good start in a military career.
Oh wow! So you come from you're the son of immigrants, and you have your family has a military background. They are soldiers, and actually you live an American dream, sir. So you went to West Point, you graduated first class. That's incredible, sir. With that, and thank you for your service.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate
Yes,
that.
yes,
And I also admire the Vietnamese who came over from Vietnam with very little. They started with very little, except with their innate talents and a dream. And I think meritocracy is what made America great, not diversity. It's meritocracy, regardless of your background. I think if you work hard, you're good at certain things, you should be rewarded. And that's one thing I admire about the Vietnamese who have immigrated to this nation.
Thank you, sir. We deeply admire you. So you come from a son of a poor immigrant and then to West Point and then to a major general, and you also have a law degree. You're practicing lawyer too. So it's amazing. It's amazing. You are the real deal, sir. You are.
Oh,
I
thanks.
believe on qualification you are way over Mark Warner. But is that the among the reason that you decide to run for Senate, sir, or any other reasons that lead to this decision?
Well, Michael, you and I have had some conversations. You believe in all the opportunities this nation has given you that you did not necessarily have in Vietnam. And I think a lot of our immigrants came from pretty poor and difficult circumstances. Then they came to a land of opportunity. So I think it was important for us to repay our country. I did serve in uniform. I was in life-threatening situations. I had to lead troops into combat. 4 times I've lost troops in combat. We got dirty, we got bloody, but we had to do it because we were basically defending our ideals and the ideals of our allies. In this case, I've served in South Korea on the border. I served in Afghanistan. I served in Iraq. I served in Panama. So I really believe that we should repay the country that has given us so much. So I was honored, number one, to be able to go to West Point and get such a good education. And in the military, it's very much a meritocracy. You have to prove yourself at every rank. And I was honored to be promoted to many different ranks, including up to 2-star general. My father was a sergeant. My older brother was a sergeant. All my ancestors, including uncles who fought in World War II and the Korean War, were either privates or sergeants. So I'm the one that kind of screwed up the average family rank, as they say. But being in charge of soldiers, doing good things, helping other countries, helping our country, I think it's a really an honor and a privilege to be able to do that. And I wish I was younger so I could do it again. So what led me to where I am today was these are ideals that we know is worth fighting for. And you come back to this country and you see that some of the common sense solutions that made this country great, the same things that have attracted people from other countries, including Vietnam, Italy, Korea, all over Europe, Latin America, the Middle East, the things that have attracted people here, the freedoms and the opportunity. But now it seems like one of our parties does not think that's the way that a nation should be structured and incentivized. So I just want to get back to some common sense solutions where we do secure our borders. We make sure anybody who wants to be part of this great American experiment, that they believe in our ideals and our values and that they contribute to our nation. And they just don't take from, just take advantage of the things that we have to offer. So that's one reason I think it's important to be in a position where I can help develop and make policies that are common sense policies that, number one, take care of the security of our country and take care of families that just want to be safe and to prosper. And that's what all I'm about.
Thank you, sir. And this is also the reason that we have this channel and this interview, because I really want to pay back to the country and also my audience, but they don't know what to do. So that's why we gather here to find the best solution that we can contribute, and that is by our vote. So back to the reason you run for election, the common sense. I think the other side, they lack of common sense, and they lack severely, especially with your opponent, the incumbent senator, Senator Mark Warner. I see he's lost right now, and everything he has, everything he can offer to constituent is he's anti-Trump, and that's it. So how can you get the votes, or you can expose him to the voters to make them decide to vote for you instead of Senator Warner?
Well, that's the challenge, right?
Yes.
Right. So as I tell people, and I'm a student of strategy. I studied strategy at Harvard. My doctoral work was on strategy. I oversaw U.S. national security strategy when I worked in the U.S. Senate. I helped draft it and implement it when I was in the Pentagon and in the military. But if you really want to have a good strategy, you don't tell everybody what your strategy is. You just have to look at the landscape,
Yep.
and then you decide the best way to deal with all the challenges that come your way, including you have an opponent that they know what they're doing as well. So I'm not really running against Mark Warner per se. I'm running against Democrats. And regardless of what you think about Mr. Warner, he's been in office too long. I actually met him before he ran the first time, and we actually had a cordial conversation. But the bottom line is one party is believing in certain ideals, and we don't agree with them. They're not what has made America great. It might sound good on paper, but it does not work in practice. And there's one thing you learn when you've been overseas, and there's one thing that people from Vietnam and other countries bring here, is they bring a richness in their perspectives because they've seen how the system works and it doesn't work in other countries. And a lot of Americans here, they only see what America's like, and then they listen to what the media says. And the media, unfortunately, has an agenda. And the agenda is not to be delivering the objective truth to Americans so they can make up their own minds. They have an agenda to try to slant the news in a way that people will believe that one side is better than the other. My friends in the media basically admit 95% are biased to the left. They need to be in order to keep their jobs, basically. And they don't like it either. But I think there's a lot of lapses in our journalistic ethics. The days of Walter Cronkite, my generations remember when you had newscasters who would get up and they would call it the way they saw it. Well, unfortunately, I've learned over time that that's no longer the case. So we need to help right the ship, bring America back to where it was when meritocracy was what mattered, not the color of your skin and not personal or professional agendas. And I worked in the U.S. Senate back in the 1990s, and people used to work across the aisle, Democrats and Republicans. In fact, I was very well respected by the Democrats I worked with because they knew that my policies were for the good of the country, and we all had to get along and make some compromises. They believed in me so much that I was offered a job during the Clinton administration. So I'm one of the few Republicans that served in a high-level position. In this case, it was the Senate that also got a very high-level position in the Pentagon. And so I've seen both sides of the aisle. I've seen many countries. I've lived in or spent time in at least 50 different countries. So I believe I know what's best for our country, and I also know what will work and what's sustainable. And a lot of the solutions they sound good, but they won't work.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for mentioning that you worked in Congress, and so it means that you have the experience, and and people may remember you. People that may remember you, and you're right. We used to be bipartisan, but now we no longer. But we are in a fight, and we gotta be the winner to restore the attitude, the spirit, good faith, and common sense there. But you mentioned that some of the Democrats they respected you, they like you, but now it's changed. I believe they change. And when you run, they're gonna demonize you. They're gonna do all the bad things about you. So we experienced that when Captain Cow he ran for Congress and Senate. He's now Secretary Cow. They lie about him all the time, and they ran false ads about him uh they gonna tell you they're gonna spread lies about you, like you're gonna support a national ban on abortion, or you're gonna cut their social security or Medicaid, Medicare. How can you rebut to those lies and to make it clear about your policies to prevent those liars?
Well, Michael, I have a long record of serving this country, and none of this stuff has come out before. I actually was Trump's senior appointee at the CIA at the end of his first term. It was not supposed to be public knowledge that I was there. Somebody inside the agency leaked the fact that I was there. That leak included classified information. They should have been punished for that.
Yeah.
But one thing I found out when they leaked the information, they were looking for negative things to say about me. They couldn't find any. And so, for what it's worth, I think I've lived a pretty clean life. I've done what was right for this country. I come from very humble background. I uh, I got educated. I've applied it in ways that I think are the greatest benefit to the greatest number of people. And I hope they recognize, though, having served in the military, it's a selfless service. I've also served in the civil service as a civilian on the Hill, in the Congress, in the Pentagon, at the Department of Veterans Affairs, and in the intelligence community. And so I have a long record of faithful service to our nation. And so I hope that the people that are watching all these attack ads, assuming that they come out, I hope they don't, but I know that might be a little naive. It can happen to anybody. It's just the nature of the game. It's not appropriate. I guess we'll just have to deal with it as it comes. And so I believe in behaving in an honorable way. If it's negative about my opponent and if it's relevant to our position in the Senate, then I think it's fair game. If it's negative and it's not relevant, I don't think it needs to come up at all. And if it's negative and it's not true, then it's just a damn lie. And we need to be able to call people out. But you bring up a good point. The people with the most money can rule the airwaves, and the airwaves often decide how people vote. I just hope that people will take the time to look at my background. And the way I put it is I served for 41 years in uniform, a lot of it overseas. I will ask people to take 41 seconds to look at my background to decide who they want to vote for in this primary, and maybe to take 41 minutes to actually show up in the polls. So, I believe in the innate goodness of American citizens, and I hope that they will make an honest evaluation of who they think can serve them best in the United States Senate. And right now, I think we need somebody with a military background because the military has sacrificed so much, but we also know a lot about the outside world and how it operates. And it's hard to basically separate our country from a lot of things that are happening in other parts of the world. I mean, we see this today in the Middle East, but also with China. I feel very strongly about the freedom of navigation and the South China Sea, which affects your home country, Vietnam. And I think the freedom of navigation, that affects a lot of the world's trade. Obviously, the Middle East issue is affecting the free flow of oil to a lot of Asian nations, but lesser so to the United States. But we believe that we should all be able to live in a peaceful, prosperous environment. But we don't want to be so naive that we just totally ignore our adversaries and those who do not have our best interests at heart. And so I'll be a fighter for our country, for people, regardless of whether the Republicans or Democrats, because I think that's the job. That's what's made America great. I hope we can put this partisan divide behind us, and people will just look honestly at who they think can be their best representative, not only for those here in Virginia, but a senator's vote is going to count for everybody in our nation. And I hope they will take a step back and try to ignore all the negative comments, because they're going to have a hard time deciding what's correct and what's not. Just look at 40 years worth of service. That's all I ask.
Thank you, sir. It's very I can say a very patriotic message, and it shows that you're like a gentleman in the fight, and you don't play dirty. But Mark Warner, he has a lot of money, so we gotta expect the false lies about you when he put in the ads. The more he spend, the more he is worried about you. That's the common sense about it. But I also see that Mark Warner is the ranking member of the Intelligence Committee in the Senate, and you have a very rich background in intelligence. So it is a very good swap. It's a perfect swap that Mark Warner get out and you get in, and you can get in the intelligence community right away to replace him. So we gotta do it, sir. We're gonna do it. It looks like it goes a huge
Well,
upgrade to the community too. All the thing he's doing right now, he's going panic about William Porty, the acting director of national intelligence, and he tried to he always tried to influence the executive branch about the intelligence and then national security issues. So I think that
yeah,
is also a good resource that you can attack him on the campaign trail. Like it's not something
yeah.
personal, because it's about the policies, and I think you can expose him with those things.
Yes, I mean, you bring up a good point. He has accused President Trump of politicizing intelligence. I was actually the senior Trump appointee at the CIA. When Biden came in, I was the first person he fired. I actually came into the agency in the normal way. I don't want to get into details, but you didn't hear Senator Warner saying one thing about a Trump appointee being dismissed from an agency and that being a politicization of our intelligence. But now, when Trump is the president and it's happening to Democrats, which is, you can argue that it's normal, all of a sudden he's talking about intelligence being politicized. And I will bring up one example that I think is very important, is that when President Trump was in office for his first term, the intelligence community was basically getting tied up with the Russia collusion hoax. And you have Adam Schiff in the House, who was
Yes,
Senator Warner's counterpart,
absolutely.
basically issuing one falsehood after the other about things that he knew that actually did not exist. Senator Warner had the same information that Congressman Schiff had, so he should have known that there was nothing there. But yet he said nothing. And sometimes not saying something about something that you know is not there is as bad as saying something wrong about something that is there. So our country was put through years of basically waste of taxpayer dollars and attention. I mean, I think President Trump was deprived of his first term. More importantly, the electorate was deprived of their choice for that term from 2017 to 21 because of this fabricated hoax. Mark Warner was in a key leadership position to kind of basically to basically shut it down, but he said nothing at all about all the falsehoods that came out, which included the media, the Democrats, and the House of Representatives. And if he were to step up, take a leadership role on it, he could have shut it down, but he did not. And that was a conscious decision, and I hold him responsible for that.
Oh, so thank you for sharing those pieces of information, because we Mark Warner, he's a uh, politician, so he knows where to hide when the story broke out. And without the insights from you or and other people, we don't know what really happened, because the media, they also lied to us. So I know that this is an uphill battle. He has money, he has name recognition, but he also has issues. So all we can do is we have to do is we gotta tackle those issues and hit hard. And I believe that we can make an upset. And oh, in general, may I ask you what you need from voters, especially from us, the Vietnamese community or the minority communities, to help you in this primary election and then in a general?
Oh, yes. Thanks, Michael. First of all, I just want to comment on what you said previously. Real leaders don't hide when the going gets tough, okay?
Yes.
And you're right. I mean, he basically hid and he failed to exercise his role that we've entrusted him with.
Yes.
It's as simple as that. So, yes, I realize Senator Warner has a lot of money. I knew that going in, but I knew that I couldn't win if I didn't come into this race. And we had to take one step at a time. You take one battle at a time and you prepare for the next. So he's already pretty well defined. He's been in office, I would say, since 2009, but he's been in office before then.
Yes.
He first ran, as your visuals showed, he ran against John Warner. John Warner was a senator on the Senate Armed Services Committee when I was serving there, and I got to know John Warner. So he's been, Mark Warner has been in politics for a long time, and I just think that it's time for him to go. I think the referendum here in Virginia showed that we've got about a 50% constituents that are Republicans, a little bit more than 50% are Democrats. But right now, both of our senators are Democrats. The entire statewide leadership in Richmond are Democrats. And that's not really a good representation for the people of the Commonwealth. I think they deserve to have a Republican in the Senate who can get along with the Republican White House. Half the time we have a Republican White House, half the time we have a Democrat White House. In my case, I worked in the Senate with a Democrat White House. We were able to get things done together. I can go into some details on that, but some of them were some major projects. And that's one reason I was able to work in the Senate very effectively because I know that's important. So at this point, regardless of what you think about Mark Warner, he votes with the Democrats on everything.
Yeah.
He goes against President Trump on everything. President Trump is never going to listen to whatever Mark Warner has to say because he doesn't deserve it. President Trump will obviously listen to me. And even if I disagree with President Trump, at least he'll listen to me. And sometimes, I'm not going to agree with President Trump on everything, but at least he will give me the time to listen to me and hear what I have to say. And there will be a new president after the 2028 election. It could be a Republican, it could be a Democrat. But in the end, you're going to want a senator who basically has the confidence of both parties. And I have the track record to show that I've been able to work with both parties. Mr. Warner no longer has that confidence.
Thank you, sir. It is very compelling argument, and especially the term of the senator that you mentioned. A senator has 6 years, and it's going to be a presidential term plus a half. So
Yeah.
people don't realize how influential a senator is, but now they are noticing it, and they are ready for a change. General, if people want to support you, where can they go and where can they keep in touch with you, sir?
Well, thanks you. So first of all, I would like to ask your community to support me. I think that the Asian Americans have contributed a lot to our society. I think their work ethic is there. They believe in meritocracy. I mean, they're almost the model Americans. We used to use that term, I know, for the Japanese Americans. Some people like it, some people don't, but hey, I think it fits. And I think America has thrived on opportunity and small businesses. And I think the Vietnamese Americans that come here, I mean, one reason they're so patriotic is they're so grateful for the opportunities that America has given to them. And they know the alternative. They left Vietnam for a good reason. So my website, my name is spelled B-E-R-T. First name is Bert for Senate. It's all one word, bertforsenate.com. As you mentioned, Mark Warner is very, very wealthy. I am not. I could use some contributions because I think for every dollar that I receive, it will go 10 times further than Mr. Warner's because he's already pretty well defined. They know who he is. A lot of people don't know who I am because of where I've served. I've served behind the scenes, but I've gotten things done. Now it's time to fight out front, and I would help, like all the help I can get, number one, in terms of contributions. But more importantly, I think in the end, regardless of money, it's the votes that matter. So I will ask all your listeners to do what they can to support. And if they're living in Virginia, that they can vote, please come out and vote for me in the primary. The primary date is August 4th. Early voting starts on June 18th, by the way. So I'm encouraging people, come out and vote early for Bert on June 18th or sometime in a few weeks after that, and then go to the beach. Enjoy your summer, and then come back after Labor Day to help me fight for the general election.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So your website is Bert for Senate, and I find it very interesting. You cannot spell Mizusawa without the USA. Yeah.
That's true. You
Yes.
can't. I had nothing to do with the spelling of my last name, but
Yes.
thanks for pointing that out.
Yes, yeah, thank you, sir. I mean, a very compelling story about your life and your American dream. And I believe that the Vietnamese, not only the Vietnamese, that all Americans will love you, and they really want to hear your story and your passion and what you can offer to the people from the U.S. Senate. Yep, and I wish you all the best, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, please vote for Euro Mizusawa starting June 18. June 18 would be on Thursday. Would be Thursday. It could be next Thursday. It would be an early voting period in Virginia. We have the 45 days. We have 45 days for the voting season. I gotta say in Virginia. Yes. So please vote for Euro Mizusawa, and you can get on bertforsenate.com to contribute to his campaign. We're gonna use the money smartly. In some cases where a candidate is so wealthy, sometimes they make the wrong decision by hiring the bad political consultants, and then they're gonna burn out all the money. There are many cases there. So I believe that you will use the money smartly against Mark Warner and then we can pull it upset, sir. I wish you all the best, sir, and thank you for this opportunity. And we will keep in touch. We keep in touch, and
Definitely.
yes, and I wish you a victory.
Thank you so much, Michael. I look forward to talking to you again.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I hope that you enjoyed the show, and please hit like and subscribe for the channel. And we will see General Mizusawa in a very near future. Maybe on his campaign trail. Yeah, I'll be there, sir, whenever I have a
Definitely.
chance. Thank you, sir.
Thanks
And
again.
thank you. I'll see you again.